Chances to walk away here today with $20,000. We'll go to news headlines.
Coming up in NBN News, a shock surge pushes inflation to its highest level this year. Tonight, what it means for interest rates. Heading home, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange close to landing in Australia after a plea deal. Premier Chris Minns on a flying visit to Newcastle and Lake Macquarie. An icon up for sale for the first time in decades, the asking price for Luna Park. And the Blues in high spirits in the build-up to Origin 2. Those stories and more coming up next.
NBN News starts now.
Tonight, Julian Assange on the final leg home to Australia after being granted freedom by a US court.
An interest rate rise back on the table following shock new inflation figures.
A teenager allegedly carrying knives and wearing tactical gear arrested outside Newcastle Museum.
Trains and the budget on the agenda as the New South Wales Premier hits the Hunter.
And the Blues ready to fight for State of Origin survival at the MCG.
This is NBN News with Gavin and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. In just over an hour, Julian Assange will touch down in Australia for the first time in more than 15 years.
The WikiLeaks founder is now officially a free man after pleading guilty in a US court to espionage.
Julian Assange taking his first steps to freedom.
How does it feel to be a free man, Mr. Assange?
His years-long battle finally over, and with the world watching, the champion of free speech went silent. Assange had just dodged the might of the US justice system. His next hurdle, the attention such a victory would bring.
Don't stop doing what you're doing.
In his wake, a legal team fating their client as a hero of the truth.
Mr. Assange revealed truthful, important and newsworthy information, including revealing that the United States had committed war crimes, and he has suffered tremendously.
A traitor in the eyes of some, it took 14 years and VIP treatment for Assange to have his day in a US court. A private jet from London to the American outpost in the Pacific, chosen by his team a long way from mainland USA and close to Australia. For much of the journey, he was chaperoned by two former Labor heavyweights, Stephen Smith, Australia's High Commission in the UK, and former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, our ambassador to the US, by his side in court where a deal had been done. Judge Ramona Manglona asked the question, how do you now plead, guilty or not guilty? Guilty to the information, Assange replied. The plea of guilty is therefore accepted, allowing for 62 months already served. Assange was free.
You could see the relief wash over his face when the judge confirmed that she had accepted that plea deal.
Watching from afar, a wary father.
This may be unwise, but to say that the United States seems very hard to trust.
But by the end, he was planning their reunion.
Anything you need? You want a cup of tea? Have a cup of toast? Something like.
The driving force behind the deal, quiet diplomacy dating back to 2022, when the Prime Minister raised the Assange case with President Biden.
It was his intention that this be done, and we wouldn't be here today without the Prime Minister of Australia's support.
Regardless of your views about Mr. Assange's activities, his case has dragged on for too long.
Julian Assange can expect a triumphant homecoming, but the intelligence community in the US will watch on in frustration. Dubbed an enemy of the state and pursued for espionage, he'll be remembered as the one who got away. Assange publicly encouraged his prospective recruits to obtain the information by any means necessary, including hacking and theft, and reveal the names of human sources illegally and created a grave and imminent risk to human life. Assange was immediately back on his private jet and headed for home. His run-in with a superpower over. But will there be more to come?
WikiLeaks' work will continue, and Mr. Assange, I have no doubt, will be a continuing force. He is a powerful voice and a voice that cannot and should not be silenced.
Damien Ryan, NBN News.
And Julian Assange is due to arrive in Canberra in just over an hour. Charles Croucher is standing by and will cross live to him shortly. Another interest rate rise is a done deal, according to a senior economist. New figures today revealed a spike in inflation, which will make for uncomfortable reading at the Reserve Bank. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
It was a demoralising set of inflation figures today. The monthly data showed costs grew at 4% in the year to May, up from 3.6% in April. And this is how the journey now looks. Inflation hit a crisis peak of 8.4% in late 2022. Then, thanks to all those interest rate hikes, it came down to 3.4% at the end of last year. Problem is, now it's growing again and getting further away from the Reserve Bank's target. Some economists are now saying another RBA rate rise is a done deal.
So they won't be able to walk away from this, and I think it's all telling us a very clear story that a 4.35% cash rate is not high enough to restore price stability. That is to get inflation down and keep it down.
The financial market adjusted quickly. Before the data came out, the chance of another hike by August was about 1 in 10. Now it's about 1 in 3. So an increase at the next meeting is not at all off the table. Some of the most significant price rises in May were housing, food and transport, showing the cost of living crisis is still all around us.
A teenager allegedly armed with knives and wearing tactical gear has been arrested outside Newcastle Museum following reports he sent a document threatening a mass killing to media outlets. Tyson Cottrell is following the story. Tyson, what happened?
Natasha, NBN News has obtained exclusive vision of the moment the 19-year-old, who appears to be wearing a bulletproof vest and a helmet, walked into the museum. A witness telling us he was also wearing a GoPro. Now, a short time later, he walked out, and that's when police arrived. Vision showing an officer standing over him, holding a taser as he's arrested. Now, this all happened just after midday. Police say the teen was allegedly found in possession of knives and tactical equipment. There are also reports tonight he had allegedly written a document which was circulated to media outlets threatening a mass killing, and he'd earlier entered the office of Newcastle MP Tim Crackenthorpe.
But when the police got here, they just I think they pulled out a taser and he just dropped to the floor. Didn't try to pull any stuff, but yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Tash, the 19-year-old, he is currently assisting police with their inquiries. They stress there is no threat to the community.
Tyson, thank you.
The New South Wales Premier brought his budget cell to the Hunter today, touring sites at Lake Macquarie. On the agenda, the controversial relocation of a sport and rec camp, while Chris Minns also visited a manufacturer keen to make new trains.
Flanked by Hunter MP, the Premier at Lake Macquarie, on a path to put his budget front of local voters' minds.
Billions of dollars for roads, 2 new schools, 14 new preschools, a massive unprecedented investment in essential workers.
Chris Minns crossing a divide with ousted Minister Tim Crackenthorpe too, now back in the fold after being dumped from Cabinet 12 months ago.
So wonderful to be here.
NBN News can reveal the Premier also stopped at Morisset, taking a personal interest in the new potential site of the Myuna Bay Sport and Rec Camp, before checking his figures.
All of my government departments round up, all of them.
Going back to school at Charlestown South Public for a mutual maths lesson.
48, 66, 16, 18.
There was also a tour of the Downer Service Delivery Facility to open a new electronic repair centre,
which enables us to take components off our rolling stock, to test it, repair it and put it back on the train, instead of taking these components and sending them to places like Japan and Korea.
Right now, Downer carries out maintenance on trains for the state government here at its site in Cardiff, but the company says it's poised to recommence manufacturing.
We've got to bring manufacturing of trains back to New South Wales. We've successfully done it in Victoria, and we're in the process of delivering a fleet of trains for Queensland.
Tony Ambrogetti, NBN News.
The Premier's visit came amid fresh calls for an urgent funding injection for local public schools. Hunter teachers say they're overworked and that staff and student well-being is on the decline.
When our high school teachers are under attack, what do?
Stand up, fight back.
taking a stand outside Newcastle High. Teachers say the region's public schools are at breaking point.
I see teachers start off their career with such passion, and within 2 years of teaching, they are ready to leave to find a new job.
The Federation today calling for more funding, saying staff are overworked and schools under-resourced, pointing to a survey of more than 600 local principals and teachers that saw 91% report a drop in teacher morale, 72% report a decline in student wellbeing, while almost half says they've had to teach merged or split classes.
Underfunding is the root cause of the many issues that are impacting our schools.
The Teachers Federation says that shortfall is $1.9 billion. It wants the federal government to lift its share and the state to ensure schools are funded at the recommended standard. Federal Minister Jason Clare admits the education system could be better and fairer, pointing to new funding agreements with Western Australia and the NT, and saying he wants to do the same with New South Wales.
We agree with them. We cannot fulfil the promise of public education in New South Wales without significantly more funds from the Commonwealth Government.
It's not about salary. This is not a salary campaign. This is about giving equity to public schools. We need more funding in public schools so that teachers can actually give the very best learning to their students.
Marina Trajkovic, NBN News.
A former Bandito bikie has had a legal win of sorts over a brawl at a Hunter pub. Coda Tredinik was originally jailed for more than a year for his part in the fighting, which broke out during a charity event.
Coda Tredinik was one of 4 banditos involved in this violent and chaotic melee at the Minmai Hotel, which erupted in front of 200 people, including children, during a fundraiser for suicide awareness. Initially jailed for at least 14 months, the 27-year-old appealed in Newcastle District Court, with his solicitor saying his client only pushed a security guard and there were no injuries caused by his actions or from his role played. Last month, a magistrate found Harley Lamotte and Blair Kelly to be the most violent members of the group during the brawl, while a third man, Dylan Griffin, who didn't physically assault anyone, avoided jail. Tredinik's lawyer argued his client should receive a similar sentence, but the prosecution noted the 27-year-old actually assaulted numerous patrons, including a security guard, on 2 occasions during the incident. The court heard Tredinik went to the pub to support the suicide awareness fundraiser, but became involved in the fights to show support and loyalty to his fellow bikies, and later put his offending down to alcohol and cocaine use on the day. He was on a community corrections order at the time, the judge noting the seriousness of the assault and the need to protect the community meant jail was the only option. But he did reduce Tredinik's non-parole period by 2 months, meaning he could now be released in May next year. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
A climate activist who suspended himself from Kooragang Rail Bridge has been fined $750. 67-year-old Ian Fox faced Newcastle local court today, where he pleaded guilty, avoiding convictions for entering enclosed lands. He was one of 5 people charged following protest action yesterday.
The Hunter has come up trumps in the latest Tourism Australia data, named the top destination for domestic travellers in New South Wales. There were more than 7 million trips to the region for the year ending in March, a 5.3% increase. All up, the state attracted 66 million domestic visitors, the highest number in the country.
50 years in business is a milestone worth marking, even it seems, when your business is inmates. Corrective Services today giving a glimpse of life behind bars at Cessnock Jail for its 50th birthday to show how much it's changed over the decades.
Cessnock Correctional Centre has come a long way since coming fully online in 1974.
Our organisation is certainly totally different now. The way that we do business is totally different.
Nowadays, the prison houses hundreds of inmates from minimum to maximum security, thanks to a recent expansion, with various programs aimed at equipping them with the skills necessary for life on the outside.
The big thing that we really have done at Cessnock is the increase in traineeships. As I said, full trade qualifications, inmates that are going out that are readily employable, and that's the focus. Right now, we've got 82 inmates that are on traineeships that are going to leave Cessnock Correctional Centre with a trade qualification.
The move towards rehabilitation, not the only shift over the years.
When I first came here, there was a lot of resistance between staff, and inmates wouldn't talk to each other. Now there's a great deal more interaction between staff.
Indigenous programs, another focus.
There's just one program that we do that we had running here again yesterday, and it's called Book Buddha Dreaming. And so we've got an Aboriginal elder that comes in, Uncle Richie. He shows inmates how to make their own didgeridoos.
When Cessnock Correctional Centre opened 5 decades ago, it was only a small facility. Now it's one of the largest in New South Wales and considered a key component of the prison system. It's also a big local employer with 800 staff. Imogen McCulloch, NBN News.
A glorious afternoon right across the region today. A little bit cool, but milder than what it has been recently. But most locations from the Central Coast, Port Stephens, right throughout the Lake, Newcastle and the Valley toppled the elusive 20-degree mark. Looking pretty good in the days ahead. Details soon.
You're watching NBN News. Still ahead, the latest from Canberra as Julian Assange heads home.
Calls for the Director of Public Prosecutions to step down over the handling of the Hunter bus crash.
And we're live to Melbourne as the home of AFL becomes Rugby League Central.
Ducks, hot water, built stronger to last longer. Made in Australia for over 100 years, Ducks hot water systems are built stronger to last longer. Ducks.com.au. Ducks. Upgrade your shave with Gillette Labs. The pivoting disc turns with your face for an unbeatably smooth finish. Gillette Labs, unbeatably smooth.
Sensitivity is when you feel that short, sharp pain when you eat certain trigger foods. Sensodyne Repair and Protect will repair your sensitive teeth. The ingredient is Novomin. It forms a strong reparative layer over sensitive teeth, and that layer will protect against further sensitivity. There's a lot of science that goes into making the formulations effective. Try Sensodyne. It works. Nobody does sensitivity like Sensodyne.
Start your next adventure now with Subaru, with 12 months free rego and CTP, plus 5 years roadside assistance and a $1,000 fuel voucher on selected models. Hurry, the Subaru sale event ends June 30. T's and C's apply. Subaru, for a world discovered.
Y'all ready for something new? Me, you love. Oh God, it was just burgers and fries. They got no flavors, then you taste it or you heard in your life. You do. Did somebody say, me, you love?
Definitely with my morning coffee. That's when I'd get my craving to smoke. I'd be having my first sip, and then it was like I'd be standing there with a cigarette in my other hand. So I talked with a quitline counsellor, and we actually worked out ways to change my routine. I switched to herbal tea instead, which is working really well.
Beat cravings one at a time. Click or call to quit. Search I Can Quit or call a counsellor at Quitline.
The Nick Scali half-yearly clearance has been extended, with everything reduced across the entire range. Everything is reduced during the half-yearly clearance. Extended until Sunday at Nick Scali.
School of Rock the Musical lands in Newcastle, based on the legendary film, and with a rocking new score from Andrew Lloyd Webber. July school holidays. Book now.
Get 60 months interest-free at Harvey Norman. No deposit, no interest with 60 monthly repayments from Latitude Financial Services and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. That's a $100 gift card for every $1,000 you spend. Terms, fees, charges and exclusions apply. Harvey Norman clearance on now.
Returning to our top story, and Julian Assange is about to arrive at the RAF base in Canberra. Charles Croucher is standing by there for us. Charles, his wife, will be waiting on the tarmac.
Natasha, Stella Estange will be on the tarmac as well as Julian's father. They're not here at the moment because if you look at the flight tracking map as it stands, he's somewhere over central Queensland. That means, crucially, he's over Australian airspace. He's actually flying in the same make of plane that Taylor Swift used for her Australian tour last year. And while it will come with a similar price tag for the Assange family, it doesn't come with the fanfare. Here in Canberra, there is great relief that this saga is finally over for Julian Assange, but it's complicated by the fact he has just pled guilty to espionage charges against Australia's closest military and intelligence ally. The Prime Minister will not be here for his arrival, but in about an hour's time, Julian Assange will clear customs at this secure RAF base, and he'll clear it as a free man.
Charles, thanks for the update. Families of the victims of the Hunter Valley bus crash are calling for the Director of Public Prosecutions to step down over the department's handling of the case against driver Brett Button, claiming their actions were in breach of the victims' Charter of Rights.
They've dropped the manslaughter charges. Days before they even spoke to us about that, they signed a plea deal with the accused, Brett Button. So it was already a signed, sealed and delivered deal, and we weren't informed until 3 days after that.
The DPP insists it has consulted with families and survivors.
To some pictures just in now, and the Blues have just left their Melbourne hotel for the short bus trip to the MCG ahead of their must-win State of Origin showdown. Game 2 is heading towards a record crowd. The traditional home of Aussie rules now ready to host rugby league at its toughest.
Over the last few days, the MCG has metamorphosed from the cathedral of cricket to the cauldron of origin. The first match this early morn, a parliamentary Friends of League touch footy game. Former Blue Ryan Hoffman, optimistic last game's send-off for New South Wales will fuel success in round 2.
I think they've put a bit of a resolve in the team, and I think they're going into tonight quite confident.
There is also great optimism in the growth of league in traditional AFL territory.
We've had year-on-year double-digit growth over the last 10 plus years, excluding the COVID years.
Origin ref Ashley Klein last night visiting the state's new centre of league at Broadmeadows to pass on his experience to the local codes officials. And a long-forgotten artefact of Origin will make its appearance alongside the traditional shield tonight from the first game of Origin in 1945.
They decided that wherever you enlisted is the team that you'd be a part of.
Made from a Japanese naval shell casing, the 2-game series on Bougainville would see Queensland claim it 2-0.
I think it's quite appropriate that we had the 2 trophies on display on the night when Queensland will probably come out 2-0.
Oh, mate, you just slipped that one in, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had to.
You Queenslanders. In Melbourne, Mike Dalton, NBN News.
And the intrepid Mike Dalton joins us live now from the MCG. Dalton, what's the atmosphere like there?
Tash, 90,000 footy fans are beginning to shuffle into the cauldron behind me, getting ready for the start of Origin 2 just after 8 o'clock. That's a cigarette paper shy of the record figure here for a league crowd at the MCG, which is just over 91,500 set in 2015. It is chilly and getting chillier. The temperature is expected to drop into single digits during the course of the game. And for the Blues, it's do or die because they will otherwise face the ignominy of a whitewash at Brisbane in a few weeks' time. Coverage of Origin 2, live and exclusive, will begin after the news, Tash.
Can't wait. Thanks, Dolts.
Well, today, cloudy west of the Divide. The coast enjoyed an incredible winter's day with top temperatures exceeding 20 degrees for most. We have a similar day on our hands throughout tomorrow, with cloud again gathering on the western side of the Divide before spilling over the northern ranges and into northeast New South Wales in the afternoon before spreading the risk of showers further into southeast Queensland. Another night with temperatures generally remaining above freezing, and a fairly mild winter's day is set to follow.
Still ahead tonight, Hunter and Central Coast travellers set to be slugged as fares go up on the Opal Card network. How much and when? Next.
Dramatic rescue, 3 stranded climbers plucked away from the giant's tooth.
And fans flock to the Opera House to see the world's biggest YouTuber.
Origin just got better because with Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi-Tracker, you can now track your Origin multi live, all in one place with Sportsbet.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
At TAFE New South Wales, you can develop skills for life. Whether it's developing conservation skills, event skills, or hands-on skills, we've got hundreds of affordable courses to choose from. Enroll now for semester 2. Search TAFE New South Wales.
I love pork. That is no mystery. The mystery for me is why some of you don't. ¿Por qué?
They're very fussy eaters.
Porque kids love it.
Look, I don't have time to...
Porque cooks in no time.
Because it's schnitty night.
Okay. Exactly. You see, life's tastier when you get some pork on your fork.
See ya. Isn't Jess great?
She's so hot.
Did someone say KFC?
Morning, Dave.
Hey, Josie. You good?
Can't complain. No one listens.
Oh, I listen. Hey, buddy. You been out?
Dave, early start.
You know, baby. Yeah?
Yeah. Shippy down.
Didn't know there'd be a traffic jam in here.
When you buy a Ford Ranger, Australia's #1 selling vehicle in 2023, you become part of something bigger. Get into a Ranger XL, XLS, XLT or Sport today. Now in stock at your Ford dealer.
The Nick Scali half-yearly clearance has been extended with everything reduced across the entire range. Everything is reduced during the half-yearly clearance. Extended until Sunday at Nick Scali.
Aon AgQuip is back again, August 20, 21 and 22. One of the biggest field days in Australia, showcasing the latest ag, innovation and lifestyle products. Tickets on sale July 11. Keep up to date at agquip.com.au.
Boat and motor bargains now at Everything Marine Morisset. Great deals on boats. We also buy boats. Call us if you're interested in selling. Plus, get up to $2.5 grand off a brand new Mercury outboard. Everything Marine, opposite Bunnings, Morisset.
Book your table today at the all-new Lakeside Village Tavern.
Origin just got better because with Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi-Tracker, you can now track your Origin multi live, all in one place with Sportsbet.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
A man has died after being hit by a car at Lake Macquarie. Emergency services were called to Alhambra Avenue at Cardiff at about 3:15 this morning, following a report someone had been struck by a ute. Upon arrival, police were told the man had been lying on the road before he was hit. He died at the scene and is yet to be formally identified. The 45-year-old male driver of the ute was taken to hospital for mandatory testing.
Fire and rescue crews rescued a man from a flipped vehicle this morning after 2 cars collided at Abermain in the Hunter. Emergency services used specialist equipment to extract the driver, who was assessed by paramedics and taken to hospital as a precaution. The driver of the second vehicle wasn't hurt. Households are being warned of higher power prices unless there's a doubling of the renewable energy rollout rate. That's the stark assessment from the market operator, with virtually all of our coal power set to be gone in the next decade.
The energy crunch is upon us, with 90% of Australia's coal-fired power stations to close over the next decade.
That energy does need to be replaced urgently.
The challenge, enormous. Batteries and pumped hydro will have to grow 7-fold in the next 6 years, 16 times by 2050. Wind and solar farms need to more than double by 2030, 6-fold by mid-century, while rooftop solar will have to quadruple, and gas use has to increase too, as total electricity consumption almost doubles.
Ultimately, if investments aren't delivered in a timely fashion, consumers will pay more for their energy.
We believe that you need nuclear and gas and renewables.
Although the opposition's atomic power plan wouldn't see the first nuclear reactors running until 2035 at the earliest.
It's not just that nuclear is expensive to build. It's also that to make it work, it needs to force out the cheapest form of energy, renewables.
With much of the energy transition dependent on households buying rooftop solar, batteries and electric vehicles, there are calls for the less well-off not to be forgotten.
Policies to reduce emissions are disproportionately benefiting people with wealth and choice.
And with more than $120 billion of investment required, somebody has to pay. Andrew Probyn, NBN News.
There's been chaos on the streets of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, with protesters trying to storm the parliament, outraged by new legislation to raise taxes. At least 5 people were shot dead and around 30 injured as police clashed with demonstrators. Authorities opened fire after tear gas and water cannon failed to disperse the crowds. The country's president has described the violence as treasonous.
US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin has urged Israel to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East. He hosted his Israeli counterpart, Yoav Gallant, at the Pentagon, saying more must be done to prevent the humanitarian cost in Gaza.
You can only win in urban warfare by protecting civilians. So Israel must continue to do more to protect Palestinian civilians in Gaza.
Mr. Austin added diplomacy is the best way to prevent further escalation.
A dramatic winch operation has taken place to rescue 3 Polish climbers who became stranded at the peak of Giant's Tooth Mountain on the border of France and Italy. They were all plucked to safety and are in good health.
China's lunar probe has returned to Earth. Chang'e 6 touched down in Mongolia after completing an historic mission to collect the first ever samples from the far side of the moon. Chinese officials have hailed it a complete success.
The King and Queen and all of Britain's splendour have greeted Japan's Emperor and Empress in London. There was a military parade before a carriage ride down the mall to Buckingham Palace, where the King held a lavish state banquet. It's a long-awaited visit. The trip was originally scheduled for 2020. Public transport is about to get more expensive, with Opal fares going up from July 1. Eddie Meyer has the detail.
This hit to your hip pocket starts on Monday. Opal fares up an average 3.6%. Adult fares for train and metro trips jump by up to 49 cents, depending on distance and whether or not it's off-peak. A peak-hour train trip from Parramatta to the city, for example, will now be $6.01, up 29 cents. Bus and light rail fares jump 27 cents, ferry journeys 43 cents. Children, youth and concession card holders will be slugged less, jumping by up to 24 cents on trains, 14 cents for bus and light rail trips and 22 cents for ferries. The weekly cap remains in place, $50 for adults and $25 for children, youth and concession. The $2.50 daily travel cap for pensioners and seniors is also unchanged.
Finance now, when markets were quick to react to today's inflation figures. More from Chris Kohler.
The Aussie dollar jumped and the share market fell, an immediate reaction to today's inflation data blowout. Economists spent the afternoon talking up the chance of another interest rate rise, which sucked the life out of the ASX 200. It gave up nearly 0.75%, with banks losing ground. Higher interest rates might mean fewer and smaller mortgages after all. And Harvey Norman was thumped because spending on things like furniture and appliances might take even more of a back seat in this tricky economy. But the chance of higher interest rates tends to push up the currency, and that certainly happened today. The Aussie is back within reach of 67 US cents, 62.5 euro cents and 52.7 British pence.
Australia's most famous harbour played host to the world's most famous YouTuber today. Thousands turned out as social media sensation Mr. Beast gave away a fleet of cars.
A rock star welcome for the king of YouTube. Mr. Beast, a content creator with hundreds of millions of subscribers, 4,500 of them packing the Opera House forecourt for one epic giveaway. Are you ready for the screaming fans?
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. We've never done a video live like this, so it's pretty awesome. At the Sydney Opera House, and then we're gonna film a video here.
The die-hard fans lined up early.
We got here at around 2:30 in the morning.
5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. Yeah.
Others came to steal the show. Wow! Wow!
Hey, that was some good news as well.
Up for grabs, 10 cars for 10 contestants, ranging from the Scooby-Doo-mobile to a $500,000 Lamborghini Huracan. What car are you going for?
Mate, if we're going for a Lamborghini, we want the Lamborghini, right?
Are you old enough to drive?
No.
I want the Scooby-Doo one.
Why not the Lamborghini?
So, armed with a footy and this board, it was game on. Sergio from Sydney taking home the prized Lambo. Mr. Beast is estimated to be worth around $750 million, and he's known for giving a lot of that money away through these crazy challenges and crazy prizes, kind of like the last US megastar to visit this very forecourt. The last person we had here with this kind of crowd was Oprah Winfrey.
Oh really?
Yeah, so
I guess it's a commonality between giving away stuff.
At the Sydney Opera House, James Wilson, NBN News.
Snoop Dogg is used to recording tracks, not racing on them, but that didn't stop the rapper from putting on a show at the US Olympic trials. Snoop took part in a 200-metre exhibition race against Olympic great Atto Bolden and retired American sprinter Wallace Spearman. He didn't quite get the win, but crossed the line in 34.44 seconds, something Snoop says ain't bad for a 52-year-old. Looks a bit worn out though, doesn't he? That's 52.
Ready to go. All right, it's a great precursor to sport. Here it is.
It is indeed. Origin night, Adam.
Guys, I can't wait for this one. It's a blockbuster at the MCG. Connor Watson will make his debut next. We speak to his mum about she helped save his rugby league career. Plus, the Knights give a rising star permission to leave, and Alex Stevenor to spearhead our tennis team in Paris.
Blocked nose? Get Vicks Inhaler for fast relief.
Your humble hatchback, Pierre, had a horn with a bop-bop sound. Pierre looked like a roller skate, drove like a dream. When you farewelled your old life, Pierre was there. A car doesn't have to move fast to move you. If it's precious to you, protect it with us. GIO. Protect precious.
At Dodo, we aim to leave every customer satisfied. That's why I'm here to testify. I'ma give you the real deal. Real speed, sorry if it got glitchy. When you're streaming reality TV, Dodo's usually up above advertised MVPs. That's the real deal.
Claire stayed in this amazing hotel and paid this much for her room. Jess stayed in the same hotel and paid a lot less. How? Let's go back. While Claire found her hotel on her usual booking site, Jess found her deal on Trivago. Have a look-see, Claire. Trivago pulls hotel offers from different booking sites in one place, so you can easily compare prices and find your deal. Hotel Trivago.
At Super Cheap Auto, you'll find super savings on our biggest brands. 25% off the Turtlebacks range. And Bendix brake and parts cleaner, $7 each when you buy 3 or more. Make it super. Super Cheap Auto.
Oh no. Hey. Hey. Is that the McSmart meal from Macca's?
Yeah, 2 burgers, small fries and drink for $6.95.
Smart.
Make the switch to Red Energy on your next move and unpack up to 15,000 bonus Qantas points. Call 131 806.
You can't escape it. You're faced with choices every single day. But whatever choice you face, We're here to help. Hunter Primary Care.
Dream big and spend less this end of financial year at 40 Winks with up to 50% off savings store-wide. And for this week only, take a further 20% off selected floor stock. Sale ends this Sunday. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. Go to better sleep at 40 Winks.
Tonight's code word is Bell. Visit nbnnews.com.au for your chance to win.
Connor Watson's journey to State of Origin has been one of pure perseverance. A devastating knee injury forced him to miss all of last season and had him questioning his future in the game. But with the help of mum Jodie, the Central Coast junior is back to his best and ready to rip in at the MCG tonight.
The team walk is always a good way to kill time on the longest of days for an Origin player. For so many, like rookie Connor Watson, it's a final way to achieve a lifelong goal.
I can just imagine, me as a little kid and watching State of Origin and just thinking about how much it meant to me and all my mates.
After missing all of last year with a patella injury that landed him in a wheelchair for months, what he'll do tonight was only a wild dream.
If you told me last year that when I was in the wheelchair and, when nothing was the rehab was taking so long that I was going to be playing Origin next year, I would have been very surprised.
He received his jersey on Monday night with his mum Jodie by his side. She played a crucial role in his recovery last year. Connor left Bondi to move in with her on the Central Coast because he couldn't care for himself.
I thought he was coming just for a couple of weeks and ended up staying probably a few months. I was happy to get rid of him. But yeah, no, it was surprised. It was a huge injury and he could not bend his leg for maybe about 8 weeks, I think. So literally he couldn't do anything for himself. Put him in the shower or in the toilet, whatever. I'd go back upstairs and he'd ring me. I'd have to go back down. And
Connor seriously considered quitting.
It just took so long, and you're given a timeline like this is when you should be back, and then you miss it, and nothing's sort of working.
And this time last year, clubs were not keen on contracting him.
This manager was texting him responses from all the clubs, and it was just no.
The time away gave Connor perspective.
Being injured, it gives you a lot of time and space to think, and also made me realise how much I love this game.
And tonight when he takes the field, he knows where his thoughts will be.
Family, friends, but in particular mum and dad. Yeah, there's no way I'd be here without them.
In Melbourne, Danny Weidler, NBN News.
There are a few more spectacular sights in Australian sport than the mighty MCG, lit up and ready to host an event the size of State of Origin. By kick-off, there will be around 90,000 fans in attendance as the Blues fight for survival. James Bracey and Brad Fittler have the late mail.
The MCG, the scene for Game 2 of the State of Origin series. Evening, Bradley Fittler.
James.
Looking forward to this. Some key changes for the Blues. Most importantly, halfback Mitch Moses is in, Latrell Mitchell in the centres.
Also throwing Cam Murray. Now, if those three players, who I think are three of the best players in the competition, also between them have 23 games experience. If you look at the players they replaced, they had 1 game experience between all of them. So I think that's why when I look at the team, it looks a lot stronger.
Okay, from a Queensland perspective, they can come into tonight's match knowing they've still got the fullback option of being able to win at home in Game 3. How do you talk yourself out of that complacent mindset?
Well, I'd never put myself in a position to think like a Queenslander. I just wouldn't do that. But the need to win in State of Origin is such a strong motivator. So the New South Wales just need to go out there. It's actually getting the footy on. They'll go out there aggressive enough. They need to play footy and score tries. So the need to win, James.
Yep, tries early. Thank you, Brad. You ready for this?
I'm ready, James.
Bring it on. Big crowd here at the MCG, and you'll be able to see all the action live and free right here on Night's Wide World of Sports.
Another Origin series will be decided in Townsville tomorrow night as the women play a third game for the first time. The Maroons levelled the series in Newcastle with a late field goal.
To be honest, the girls are the hardest on themselves. I don't have to say too much. Our sheds wasn't a great scene after the game. They were pretty down and out, and mainly because they had, put in such a great effort.
Queensland claimed last year's series on points aggregate after both sides won a game each. The Knights have given David Armstrong permission to leave at the end of the season after the 23-year-old backflipped on a decision to re-sign. Club officials have told the fullback they will not stand in his way, allowing him to join English Super League club Leigh next year. Armstrong will play reserve grade at Saturday's home game against the Eels. Australia's tennis team for the Paris Olympics has been announced. The squad is headlined by world number 9 Alex de Minaur, who was robbed of an Olympic debut in Tokyo when he caught COVID.
It's super important, super special, and of course you want to do your best because you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for your team and your country, so that's what makes it truly, truly special.
Isla Tomljanovic carries Australia's women's hopes, while doubles world number 1 Matt Ebden will be teaming up with John Pearce. After the break, Mbappe returns in style, while England does just enough to advance to the knockout stage at the Euros.
The Amart End of Financial Year sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out on an amazing 20 to 60% off absolutely everything store-wide, including bedroom furniture and Silly Posturepedic mattresses. Stores are open late tonight, so hurry into Amart.
Why Can-Am? Because we're built Australia tough for any conditions. Get end of financial year deals on selected Can-Am models. Search Can-Am today.
Oh, hey, is that the McSmart meal from Macca's?
Yeah. 2 burgers, small fries and drink for $6.95.
Smart.
Get $50 off batteries this tax time at Bunnings Trade. Trade in your old 18-volt power tool battery and get $50 off select twin battery packs like Makita, DeWalt's, AEG and more. T's and C's apply. Offer ends June 30 at Bunnings Trade.
And then they said,
no thanks.
That's right. Because no one should touch you in a way that you're not okay with, even our family or friends. If you're not sure, you can always talk to me.
Every conversation brings us closer to a world without child sexual abuse. Let's end child sexual abuse, one talk at a time. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Get ready when the Knights way out Newcastle Knights play against the Parramatta Eels this Saturday at McDonald Jones Stadium. Hurry and play your part at knightshub.com.au.
You could get up to $4,000 cash back when you switch your home loan to IMB Bank. Get a great low rate with no application fee, no monthly or annual fee. All in the time it takes to whip up a stir fry. IMB Bank, right by you.
Newcastle Commercial Vehicles, 3 big brands, 1 location. Purchase any Hino, LDV or Iveco truck and receive a free Weber BBQ barbecue. Explore the huge range of new and used trucks from Hino to LDV and Iveco. Newcastle Commercial Vehicles, Kinter Drive, Beyersdorf.
Get 60 months interest-free at Harvey Norman. No deposit, no interest with 60 monthly repayments from Latitude Financial Services and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. That's a $100 gift card for every $1,000 you spend. Terms, fees, charges and exclusions apply. Harvey Norman clearance on now.
This report brought to you by Harvey Norman. Clearance on now for a limited time only.
England has topped its group at the Euros, but it was far from impressive. A goal disallowed for offside, the closest either team came to scoring in a 0-0 draw with Denmark. Meanwhile, Kylian Mbappe scored from the spot in his return from a broken nose in France's 1-1 draw with Poland. But the French had to settle for second in Group D after Austria defeated the Netherlands 3-2. The Wanderers have a new coach, with former Matildas and Mariners boss Alan Stajic signing a 1-year deal to replace Marco Redan. Stajic was most recently in charge of Perth, who finished last on the A-League table. The Jets have landed their biggest off-season signing yet, with former Socceroo Alexander Shushina joining the club on a 2-year deal. The experienced defender will bolster Rob Stanton's young backline, but won't feature in Newcastle's Australia Cup playoff next month. 10 years ago, a budding young Newcastle gymnast made the decision to try little athletics. A decade on, Tori Lewis is now preparing for her first Olympic Games as Australia's fastest woman.
Tori Lewis arrived at January's ACT Championships as an Olympic prospect. She left as the fastest in the land.
And it's 11.10.
The 19-year-old breaking the national 100-metre record set by Melissa Breen a decade earlier.
It was pretty surreal, like, when I first got it, to even try and think, like, you know, every single person who's ever raced the 100 in Australia, and I'm now the fastest of them.
One of her secrets to success, a quintessential Newcastle training method.
Every Saturday we used to do, you know, Merriweather, like the stairs, and then they had the pools there. We used to do like stairs and then like do some pool running.
Moving from England when she was 6, Tori's athletics career began in the Hunter.
I started Little Athletics Mac Hunter down at Glendale. So that was kind of like my first thing.
Before then, she was a budding gymnast with the Blackett Academy.
I'd always see the track and my friends were doing Little A, so I was like, why not? Why not give it a go?
After relocating to Queensland, she became the 100 and 200 metre national champion at the age of 18. Her next stop now is Paris after qualifying for the 4x100 relay team.
You got your ticket to the plane and everything. It makes it really real and just really excited.
Lewis is also on track to gain selection in her pet event, the 200, after stunning world champion Sha'Carri Richardson in China earlier this year.
Tori Lewis, only 19 years old, finished really strongly.
The Australian team is named next week. Jack Howard, NBN News.
3 Newcastle boxers were on international rivals this Saturday at a new purpose-built venue. Manager Glenn Jennings turning a wet into what's now the Fight Life Centre to foster our next generation of fighters.
He's put on some of Newcastle's biggest fight nights, turning the city into Zoocastle. Now, Glenn Jennings has created the region's first purpose-built venue for amateurs and professionals alike.
The opportunity came up on the back of going to the box camp show out at Belmont in the worst weather conditions you could ever dream of. And it was an open event with a tent, and the kids got carried to the ring.
Thornton's Fight Life Centre is almost ready to rumble, with a host of local boxers set to step out on Saturday. Headlining the box camp show, Brent Walton, who'll take on Indonesia's Waldo Sabu in a pro welterweight bout.
He's had 29 fights, so he's quite experienced in comparison to my 3. But yeah, I'm just going to do what I've got to do and get the job done.
While super welterweight Sonny Knight is keen to back up from a recent win and make a name for himself in his new home.
I turned pro at home back at Nyngan, and then had my professional debut there, and then moved up here, to chase my dream in boxing.
The first Fight Life event gets underway at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Sophie Scanlon, NBN News.
And the University of Newcastle has won the mixed netball title at the Indigenous Nationals in Wollongong, defeating the University of Adelaide in the final 23-12. And bring on State of Origin.
You bet, we're ready.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right, it is closing in fast. First of all, though, all of your local weather details straight after the break.
Blues, it's do or die. Handball, State of Origin, live on 9 and 9 now.
20 for $20 tenders and nuggets. Great shout.
Be quiet and take my money.
Dynamo.
Show me a smile then.
Dynamo Discs. For superior stain removal, first time. That's our deep clean promise. Dynamo. Keep away from children.
Bunnings Trade has got tax time sorted with huge deals on top brands. Grab a Makita 18-volt 2-piece combo kit with 2 5-amp batteries, just $759. Plus get a bonus 18-volt slide switch angle grinder via redemption. Tax time sorted at Bunnings Trade.
I'm Nat from O'Brien. These cracks all started as chips. Happens a lot. We replace thousands of windscreens, but a chip repair is faster, cheaper and greener. And with car insurance, your repair is usually free. Book today.
O'Brien.
There'll be toasties in Toowoomba, morning tea in Broome, square cuts in Albury and triangles in Wodonga. And there'll be lunch on warm afternoons near Mudgee. Because Tip Top bakes every day with Australian wheat. And it's not going to cut itself.
For young girls, a bed should be a place to sleep, not a place of work.
Not again! Why do I always bruise like a pea?
Look, it's Bruises, the fast, easy way to assist with bruising, swelling, scars and wound healing.
Oh, I'm right for the picking now.
Bruises, available from leading pharmacies and clinics.
Spend to win at the Levy Central Maitland. Spend $20 or more and you could win a $300 voucher every week. Plus a shot at the grand prize, a major shopping spree worth over $3,000. Spend to win at the Levy Central Maitland.
Disney on Ice is hitting the road and you're invited. Once the fun starts, it never stops. At Disney on Ice presents Road Trip Adventures, Newcastle Entertainment Centre from July 11th. Book now at Ticketek.
Your local weather forecast is brought to you by NRMA Insurance.
Enjoying some lovely mild winter conditions at the moment. It's a bit of a roller coaster in the coming days and into next week. I'll explain all in a moment. Let's go to where the rain has been tumbling down. Queensland's getting its fair share, a month's worth of rain over the past 24 hours from their northwest band hitting central, east and northern Queensland. It's actually connected to the rain that's been falling from this low. That's helped generate that northwest band that's been producing the rain in the north. But for us, lovely conditions, very, very comfortable at the moment. That little shift, that low is going to pass over Tassie tonight and we are going to see west-southwesterlies, so the air mass is going to be slightly cooler but still very nice conditions. This is significant in the west. They've got big rain there. They haven't had a system like that for quite some time. For us, we're protected by this high. That is going to pass over us, making for some lovely days ahead and getting quite warm once we get on the other side of that system. Then we've got that rain band. That'll be reaching us on Sunday. Widespread rain inland, but some of it will reach the coast. And then we've got a significant cold outbreak as we move into the middle of next week. It's going to be really cold. You think it's been cold so far? Well, real winter days are on the way for early July. So quite nippy right throughout the southeast with a little bit of wet weather, looking nice in Sydney. Brisbane's affected by that northwest band. Some showers there are part of that late in the day. Beautiful for central, northern Australia. And for Perth, affected by that wet weather system where it's cool and somewhat windy. Today, that was mild this morning in comparison to what we've been experiencing. Cessnock go down to 3 degrees and around Dungog and surrounds it was down to about 5, but everywhere it remained above freezing and we hit the low 20s for all as well. There's the west-southwesterlies. So as I said, it's just a slightly cooler air mass, generally dry, generally fine. We've got mostly sunny conditions on the way tomorrow and that's going to help the situation, warming into the high teens. So a little bit cool again tomorrow morning, down to 7-9 degrees because of that cooler, drier west-southwesterly influence sweeping right across the valley, but also trying to warm into the higher teens as we progress through the day. The sunshine really doing its best to help us out, thawing us out as we move into the afternoon. So overall, it's generally quite a comfortable winter's day on the way throughout tomorrow. Very typical with westerly winds this time of the year and very little swell. 5 to 7, the sun will be up just before 5 p.m. It is back down. Low tide 6:30 tomorrow morning, so we're working into the high and getting there at 1:45 and back to the low at about 6:20. A metre of swell, southerly swell, just getting there tomorrow. Not bad. Friday, Saturday shaping up nicely. Very comfortable conditions. Rain band, cloud moves through. Some of that reaching the coast, and there's the cold air hitting us early next week. That is going to be very wintry as we move into July. So get ready for that. That's a lovely cold blast on its way. So shaping up nicely over the next couple of days from the Upper Hunter all the way to the Central Coast, Lake and Port Stephens. Let's go to the beaches and check it out. What a glorious day. winter days like this, making the most of the swell on the longboards there. You've got to pick the right tide, the right moment to maximise what swell there is. But even a couple of sand lovers there soaking up the sunshine, but fairly small, similar conditions again tomorrow. Ooh, and the feels like temperature in Melbourne right now is 5 degrees.
Ah, how does that suit cockroaches?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We'll find out.
A little stiff.
Thanks, Gav. That's NBN News.
Good night.
Good night.